Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Audra, and this is Coming in Hot, where myself and my guest mostly talk about mindset theories and practical ways that you can improve your lifestyle, your relationships, your health, and yourself. And I have my first reoccurring guest, and I'm so excited about it. His name is Joshua Passmore, or Josh Passmore. Should I call you Josh? I've never
It's
called you Joshua.
totally fine to call me Josh. I don't think that's only like whenever I'm in trouble, somebody calls me Joshua.
Why did I do that? I guess I'm still in mom mode. I don't know.
It's okay. I mean, that's what I go by, for like official stuff. I mean, just personally, just Josh. It's
Well, it
Josh.
feels really weird to me.
No, that's fine.
Oh my goodness. But anyway, so you were on a couple of weeks ago and we talked all about your voice acting career and anime and all of that and how it got started. And we only touched a tiny bit on Starman Studios and on really where you've come from and all of your accomplishments and how you've gotten there and all of, just your story. So I'm excited to have you back on and to tap into that and to let you tell us about, how you've done everything you've done,
Hmm.
you know. So I don't know where you would want to start. We can start anywhere you would like to.
I mean, it's your show. If you want to ask a question, I will answer.
Well, let's see. I know that we talked earlier. Some of your background is that I know you grew up here locally in Longview,
Hmm.
but something that we have in common, you said you moved around a lot. And so I was curious to how that, what that experience was like for you, because I moved around as an adult with my children. And so you had the opposite experience. So I'm kind of curious about maybe starting there.
I mean, early childhood, moving around, the only thing I really lacked, I think, was like core friendships and stuff like that. So, like, when I would just move around, we would stay somewhere, I'd make friends, and then we'd leave, and then we'd move somewhere else, and then by the time I made it back to Texas, I probably moved around from so many different schools between Longview and Gilmer. I mean, like, I was at Doris McQueen one year, and then we'd be at Pine Tree the next, and then I went from there to Gilmer, and then I just, like, by the time I got to Gilmer, I think it was like third or fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, like all these people have already made core friendships, and then everybody's like, oh yeah, we don't know you, so it was kind of, yeah.
So you had done all of that moving around that you had told me about, what, like 5 states or something like that before
Uh,
the third or fourth grade?
four,
Whoa, dude.
4 states, yeah.
Wow. I'd have to go back and check out Madison, but I think Madison wasn't quite school age when we joined the military. So she
Hmm.
didn't skip around from as many schools. That's what you're talking about, or have to adjust so much, I guess, in the way you did with going from school to school and state to state because she was a little bit younger, but than even you are when you're talking about now doing that. Did you find it, were you more of an extrovert? Did you find yourself to be more of an extrovert or an introvert? Because I think that it could go either way, wouldn't you say?
Well, I was probably the shyest kid. I would say Florida, I was probably the most extroverted I was. So then it kind of
Mhm.
swapped over because after that, those were my core friends in Florida. That's when I started school and I made all my friends. And, like, everybody liked me and I was cool. And like my grandfather worked for Disney, so like he built like really cool stuff, in the backyard. Like I had this really cool fort that everybody always wanted to come over and play in and all this stuff. And then he passed, and then we had to move, and I lost all his friends. Went somewhere completely different where nobody knew me. And, it was just me and my mom, and other family that didn't have kids and stuff like that. So it just totally like 180'd being this new kid. It's like, oh, you make one or two friends and then you leave. It was kind of funny because my mom had a very similar uh, experience growing up too, where she constantly moved and didn't make friends and had to leave from school to school. And she probably lived in way more states than I did because my grandfather was a carpenter, and then he went to work for Disney, and then that turned into him being an Imagineer and making all that stuff. And being settled in Florida eventually. But when she was a kid, she was just a carpenter doing all that stuff. So it was like state to state to state, whatever project he was working on.
So moving around was nothing new for her.
Not for her. For me, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You were like, hold up, wait a minute.
Uh, I mean, on one hand, it was interesting because I got to see,
Yeah.
different things. And I love Florida. Florida was amazing. Um, Texas and Florida were probably the two I liked the most. Not so much Oklahoma because we lived out in like deep country with like maybe like 5 things to do, and you had to travel an hour to go do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So not so much there. California was okay. That I remember of. That was a little more like not so much remembering of that one. So North Carolina was all right, but it is what it is.
Man, if we added up and put together all of the states that we both lived in, I mean, we'd almost have like a quarter of a quarter or more of the map, because it's so funny. You've lived in about as many states as I have actually lived in, but none of them overlap. Texas is the only one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in between, I mean, I've traveled like a good 3/4 of the United States.
Yes, me too. My childhood, all of our vacations growing up, it was get in the car, we're going for a drive. Get in the
Yeah.
car, road trip. And I adore that, and getting to see the country and all that, and getting to experience other lifestyles and other cultures and things like that. It really, I think, can help shape someone's perception of maybe how big the world is, because I know I've run into people now who live in this local area who have barely left the state. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, they don't even understand what a big world there is out there, and how many different things there are to see, and just how even just climate differences, small little things like that,
Oh
that
yeah.
seem insignificant. But I mean, Florida is one of my favorite places to go and visit. And I mean, I love just the feel of the weather down there. It's just amazing,
Hawaii is my favorite one to visit, hands down.
I've never been.
So, oh
I've
man,
never been. I need to go really, really bad.
Maui is like my all-time favorite, like chill, relax spot, hands down.
Well,
Like if you just want way
that's what
out
I'm
and
gonna be
relax.
looking for. I'm kind of over the party, and so before I go, I'll hit you up. You can tell me where to go so I can chill and relax.
Sure enough, sure enough. Yeah, no, Maui's the place to be.
Yeah,
Honolulu's cool if you want to do all the shopping and stuff like that, but Maui's
yeah.
the place to be.
I just want to be a beach bum.
Yeah,
That's it.
Maui. Go to Maui.
Yeah, perfect. All right, now I
Absolutely
got
like.
plans. Now I got plans. So, okay, so you did a lot of moving around and stuff like that, and I'm sure that that kind of shaped you in a certain way. Um, I mean, do you think maybe in a way now, could you see if it had maybe made you more versatile, possibly?
I would say it definitely made my voice not so, one-dimensional, like on one specific accent, because I
Mhm.
definitely don't have that in like my regular speaking voice. Um, like I don't have that twitch of country. I do have that little bit of Texan on some
Yeah,
words, but that's just because I've been here forever and a day. We
right.
call our Cokes and not pops or sodas and stuff like that. I mean, maybe soda, but not pop for sure. Different
Mhm.
inflections on the way people say things left and right. But getting that like um, mid Midwestern, kind of original accent was kind of interesting. Just kind of moving around from everything. So
Yeah, that is really cool. I have noticed that about you. You don't have a really deep Southern twang or anything.
no.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd had a question pop in my head and then it popped right back out. But so moving around, like you said, so that probably it helped with that. And we know that you started with the anime, or that's what we talked about last time.
Mm.
But before then, can you kind of tell me a little bit before then, like maybe what some of your other dreams and aspirations were before you ever even got into doing the voice work? Like maybe
So
as a child.
my biggest dream as a child was to be an actor. That was always what I wanted to be. But when I went to my mom when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I was like, Mom, I think I want to be an actor. That's what I want to do. And she's like, well, I'm going to be honest with you, Josh. That is not a job that people actually get. That is for people that have opportunities, people who look, you know, different, people that are beautiful and have success and wealth and stuff like that. And that's the job that they get. It doesn't happen for people like you and me. So,
Wow.
she's like, go pick something else. But, I've always wanted to entertain or help people. And those were the two things that I've always wanted to do. And then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in a sense, I found a way to do both because
Yeah.
now, I'm in the entertainment industry and I help people that are in the entertainment industry realize their dream and actually get to be in it. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talked about that a little bit in my last show. That's something that I noticed as a parent, I caught myself doing, and I hate that I did it. I have to really think back. When we're on the next break, I'll think back and really think about if I can remember a time where maybe I had a dream and I went to my parents and they were like, "No, maybe it's not for you," kind of a thing. But I
uh,
know I definitely did that with my kids, and I thought I was being very practical. I mean, that's literally what I thought. I thought I'm being very practical right now and just making sure that I prepare them just in case things don't go that way. And I didn't realize that I was not probably, but I was doing them a disservice.
I mean, in a sense, it's understandable because, you're setting real world expectations because, you know, you can have that dream and it's something you should totally shoot for. Everyone should shoot for what they want to do. Their dreams, go for it. But sometimes it doesn't work out for everybody.
Yeah.
Like the industry that I do, less than, 15 to 20% make it as a profession,
Mm-hmm.
as a voice actor, I'm lucky, but whenever I'm not voice acting, I had to have something to back my financial income. But I was smart and, was lucky that I made the friends that I did and everything kind of snapped together to make a business, and
Mm-hmm.
that business turned into something way more than we ever would have thought.
Right. Well, let's see. So, well, we're going to have to take a break because we're pushing on time. But when we come back, I want to go back a little bit further. So we tapped back into, some of your dreams before you got into the voice acting and everything. But when we come back, I'm going to have you tell me maybe about some of the jobs that you did in between, because, we always know that you don't get from point A
Oh, yeah,
to
no.
B without everything in between. So anyway, we'll take a break and everybody stick around and we'll be right back. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm Audra, the host of Coming In Hot on Astronet Radio. Don't worry if you missed the first part of the show. You can always catch a replay right here or an encore presentation at astronetradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe because you don't want to miss a thing. Hey guys, welcome back. So I am here with Josh Passmore, and he is the owner of Starman Studios in Dallas, Texas. And we have been chit-chatting about his childhood and where he comes from and all that good jazz. And, we were talking about, he comes from little old East Texas and moved around a lot and things like that. But, comes from a small town, and so I can say
Longview and Gilmer.
small-minded.
That's
I'll
definitely.
probably get a beat up for it, but I'm just going to go and say a little small-minded, and now owns a, multi-million-dollar studio in Dallas. And so we want to, though, get back to how you get from here to there. So some of your childhood dreams, you said it was to be an actor. So that was your dream. But what were some of the jobs that you had to get through to get to that spot?
Well, let's see. I started work when I was about 14 years old, and my first job ever was in construction at 14. So I went from there, and I had started. I think I worked at Sonic, and then McDonald's, as typical teenage jobs go. But then I was lucky, and I got a job out in plumbing service, and I got to do like the technical side of it. So it's more of an electrician's job on it. So I did that for several years through high school, and then as an adult, I went to college, and I went to the police academy, and then I realized that this wasn't the job for me. It wasn't what was going to make me happy. Helping people out of it was going to be what I wanted to do, but I just kind of realized that I didn't like some of the aspects of the job. That
well, what led you to the police academy? Was it something an idea you came up with, or a suggestion, or how did you end up there?
Well, when I was in high school, we had I forgot what the class was called, like resource classes. They were kind of teaching you like life skills to some degree, not like they should do, but at least trying to prepare you to find a job later on. Like I think it should teach you everything about like paying rent and doing clothes to everything, but this is more about job aspects.
Right.
And I had mentored with the cop that was on campus, and he was a real lovely guy, and he was like, one of my probably like one of my only friends that I had, on campus. So it was interesting to learn, and he was just telling me, about how he would always, throw himself in front of a bus to save somebody else. And I was like, man, that's kind of what I feel in my heart that I am about, I'd give somebody the shirt off my back if I could, if it helped. So it was kind of something I wanted to do. It was between that or being EMS. And I kind of went with cop over that because it's like, well, math skills and everything else like that, probably not the best for anything in the medical profession. So, I could probably definitely be a cop though. So I went and did that. And I was like, well, I'd really like to, probably step that up further than just a local cop. I'm probably going to FBI and try to be BAU or whatever, and see what I
Mm-hmm.
can do. And this is before all the TV shows and everything else, So it's like, yeah, I'm really interested in all that. I think it'd be really cool. So I was going to do that. And then I realized, no, I don't. I don't want to do that at all.
And that's
So,
okay. I mean, a story of almost everybody's life. I think that that is something that, that's another thing that we try to instill in people. We try to tell them, on one hand, be yourself and be an individual. And if you don't like something and it doesn't fulfill you, then move on to something else. And then on the other hand, we're like, but you do know, you know, that you need to make sure that you can do it all,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, it's good life lessons, honestly, because, you learn skills in every single thing that you do, and
Mm-hmm.
you can take those skills and apply them to different places. So, I also worked in pizza, and I worked for the government at one point too, and for the state, and did stuff for them for quite a while. And then I went back to that plumbing company for a little while too. Um, Ultimately, though, I went to work for Harley's liquor store, which was kind of interesting. If you guys know, well, all of you obviously, everybody
Yeah.
buys their booze from there. I was a salesman there, and I was really good at selling booze because I took the knowledge and I was really fascinated by liqueurs and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
whiskeys and bourbons and everything else. So I end up selling to like a higher profile people, lawyers, doctors, stuff like that. I'd really get in there and I'd be like, hey, you have to taste like the abbot tastes the beach, and a certain leaf and everything else that they stuck in this, peach pits that they stuck in there. And, I'd really get in the whimsical speeches about these alcohols.
Yeah.
And I learned to sell. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what started my career, learning to sell. Because when you're a voice actor, you have to sell your services.
Right.
Uh, when you own a studio, you have to sell your services.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm good at what I do. That's because I learned to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So without those skills, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I wouldn't be talking to these multi-billion-dollar companies that I talk to and get to work on the stuff I get to work on. Because definitely a little Hispanic guy from Podunk, East Texas, definitely wouldn't get in the boardroom of a multi-billion-dollar corporation and be like, hey, why is my company better than these companies that have been around for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
Why am I better? Well,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a dream and I believe in people.
And I was going to ask you, and so doing while you were doing all of these other, I guess you would call them odd jobs, and you still have these dreams, you were still applying yourself in all of these areas to, I guess you probably never even realized how much these were going to benefit you later on, did you?
Oh no, I feel like God's plan is always very interesting to see where it's going to
Mm-hmm.
lead you. I always just let my life fall into His hands and see where it goes. So I mean, I don't know what the future ever holds or anything else like that. I just know that we all go through bad times and good times, and it's all to teach us something,
Mm-hmm.
and make you appreciate for what you got. So, um, I went through a lot of bad times as a kid, through adulthood, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now that I've gotten to this point that, I realized what my life needed to be, and I put it in the hands of uh, my higher power and everything else like that, that He has blessed me and set me in a spot that, it's been good. It's been real great,
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I left and moved to Dallas, it's just been a really cool dream that I didn't ever think I'd ever get to live.
That's a testament to your growth as a person, that you can look back and you recognize where you came from, and you recognize that even though you didn't know exactly how you were going to get there, you listened to your spirit. Like you said, you listened to what
Uh,
was really in your heart, and even when you couldn't see how that was going to work out, you still worked towards it, and it all paid off, even up until now. And I know that this is not even like the end of everything you're going to do. I'm sure that you have 5 other vision boards going on, or you know what I'm saying? I know you have other aspirations even beyond this, and other achievements and goals that you want to accomplish.
I do have a few other goals, mostly charities that I want to open up once ever I get everything really just established further with the company.
Mm-hmm.
Really want to start this charity that really helps single parents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any child should have to grow up the way I did, where their mother had to suffer and work 3 jobs and never get to spend time with their child. And I
Mm-hmm.
really miss that time that I didn't get to spend with my mother. You know, we tried to make up for it in some adults and stuff like that. But I live in Dallas, and she still lives in East Texas, so I probably get over there 3 times a year if I'm lucky.
Man, I know that's hard. I lived away from my mom for a long time. And then now that she's only 3 minutes up the road, I mean, I cherish it, you know, and I'm going to cherish it for as long as that lasts because I love it. You know, it's funny because like you said, you know, everybody, there's always trials and things going on in life. There's always ups and downs, and that's part of life. And a lot of it is perspective. And it's beautiful seeing how you can look back now and you see how all of those things made you into the better person that you are, and that you didn't let any of those be deterrences and keep you from pursuing what was really on you to be happy. Because now you get to turn around and you get to go back and you're paying it forward. You know, didn't you say that that your childhood dreams were it was to be an actor, and you also wanted to help people?
Yeah, and those were my dreams. And you know, ever
Yeah.
since I was a kid, they were doused. My mom, you know, believed in me. You know,
Yeah.
to a degree. Actor, not so much, but
Right. Right.
you know,
You said it was more of a
everything.
realist thing. You know, it's the
Yeah,
realist in her. Right.
it was a realist thing, and I mean, it is a thing that you don't think somebody from Longview, Texas, can be an actor. I mean, come on. I mean, Matthew McConaughey made it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess Forrest Whitaker's from our area too, and
Yeah.
you know, those are the two actors that have made it from our area. You know, and out
Yeah.
of all the thousands of people that are in Longview, those are the two people that have ever gotten out of East Texas and did something like that.
Mm-hmm. But how much of that was, how much of that was like what we were just talking about, like the mindset? I wonder how many people here in little old Longview could be that voice actor, could host that podcast, could do whatever it is. I don't care what it is, because I believe that everybody's dream is just as powerful as and important as the next one. There shouldn't be as this comparison, you know. And
And
I wonder how many of those people, if they had had the mindset you had or have, would be able to accomplish a lot of the things that they believe deep down that are just they're not capable of for one reason or another.
see, that's what I really like whenever I get to come back to East Texas to do like the Kilgore Geekend. I always do that every year.
Mm-hmm.
I've always done Tyler Comic Con since I've become a voice actor for the
Yeah.
last couple 2 years, and I like coming back because I like being able to tell people, "Hey, man, I'm from Longview, Texas. If I can do this, and you really want to do this, you can do this too. You just have to apply yourself. No matter what anybody says, no matter how many people put you down, tell you your dreams are stupid, you follow them. If this is what you want in your heart and you really want to succeed and do this, do it. Because I know when I started, everybody told me it was stupid, that I wouldn't make it, that I wouldn't do it. I get to laugh about it, but I mean, you know, there were times when they got to me, you know, but I still did it because I wanted to do it. This is something that, you know, I felt that I'd be good at because, you know, I have done voices my whole life. And I have been able to be more dramatic in my reads and stuff like that because I have experienced real pain in my life. You know, I've lost people, I've lost friends, I've lost family, you know, lost a lot. And I can be dramatic in my reads because of that. But I've also experienced real joy, so I can also put that in there, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's those things that really define you as an actor. And then, you know, even moving forward to, you know, become an entrepreneur into the business world, that, you know, you can apply everything that you've ever taken in your life to these things.
Yeah, I mean, when speaking of the business world, when did all of that come about? Like, when do you feel like you like all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna own a studio. Let's do this. Like, how does that happen?
So randomly, this was honestly, it never should have happened. Um,
The best
it,
stories always turn out that way. I'm just saying.
it really did. So I was hanging out with my friend. He lived in Fort Worth, and I had gotten an offer to be a lead character in this Indonesian animation, which we now call Indome. It's not Japanese anime, but it's Indome, and they wanted me to be the lead character.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, I could do that. It'd be really cool. I'd love to be this lead character. And then me and my buddy were talking about it. It's like, you know what I really like to do is if we could dub all this stuff for ourselves, you know, and start doing like, you know, whatever. He's like, you know, we probably could do that, you know. It's like, well, you know, we'd have to have money and all this other stuff. He's like, you know, whatever. I was like, I mean, this animation's only like 10 to 15 minutes long though. So it'd be interesting to see what we could do. And
Mm-hmm.
then he's like, yeah, you know, we started talking about it. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's start a studio. Let's put it together. He helped me build my website and everything else like that. He's like, well, what do you want to call it? And I was like, well, you know, I have this big love for David Bowie. Um, Starman Studios. Why not? Because he's a Starman, and that's the song, Starman, you know?
Right.
Like, even if you look at our logo, it has, you can see David Bowie's face on our star.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And then the lightning bolt used to be in the old logo. The new logo doesn't have a lightning bolt anymore. Now it has sound waves that actually say Starman Studios. So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. But it all came full circle in that way. That's so funny though. You're like, it's a studio that never should have been.
It's a studio that never should have been. Now, I mean, there were more processes to that because after me and him set all the website and all that stuff up, it was only a digital domain at that point. Mm-hmm. Then we had to become physical. So I had made friends with somebody that moved here from LA, and you know they had a recording booth and they had all the equipment and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then we found a place to actually hold our business in. It was a little one-room place that, you know, didn't cost very much, and we stuck that booth in there, and then we got an iMac and put everything together and got Pro Tools, and we recorded that first show. And then as soon as we recorded that first show, then we recorded a really big video game that released on every console like shortly after. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh man, we're doing all this stuff. Now we're doing all these demo reels. Now we're doing all this, and we need more space. So we moved into a bigger facility that became like, what was it, 5 rooms and a meeting office, like a conference room.
Yeah.
Then we turned that conference room into a classroom, and we started holding classes. Like we had people from Funimation come out, like directors and stuff like that. They came and taught at our studio, and then we started doing other stuff. We started doing live action movies. We started working with bigger rappers and stuff like that too. We did stuff for Juice WRLD and Quavo. Then we started working for Scholastics, and then Wogo USA, Smash Bits, Animation House, Moonbug, Satva mattresses. We do all the commercials. And then we did so much other stuff in between that. We produced several different albums too for people. And, you know, our team's really amazing. It's only grown. I think we went from like maybe like 7, 8 people. Now we're like almost 30 people that work for us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Our new building.
A lot like lightning in a bottle, to be honest with you.
Well, we've done this quicker than a lot of people have done it. We went from that one building. We were there for 2 years. Our third, well, they're working on our 3rd year now. Where went from that, it was about 1,000 square feet. We're in 10,000 square feet now.
Whoa.
10,000 square feet. We went from 2 booths to 12 booths now.
Wow.
And
so,
4
you
mixing
can
bays.
Really get some work done in there.
Yeah. Now we're only have 6 up and running right now, but slowly but surely we'll get the rest of them going as work dictates, because it's something we wanted to move into, so we never had to move again.
Yeah.
I really hate moving.
I could understand that. I mean, you know, like you said, with all the moving you did as a child, I think that sounds like that's one of those things that you're like, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm over moving.
Yeah, you're over it now. I totally get that 100%.
Totally.
So we're going to step away and take a break for a second, and then we're going to come back and talk some more with Josh Passmore. Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I know things are boring right now with this quarantine and so many things that we can't do, but there's one thing I know you can do. You can check out my show, Coming in Hot, where my guest and myself talk about mindset theories and real practical ways that you can improve your relationships, your lifestyle, health, and yourself. So we go live on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Then there's 2 encore presentations, Saturday nights at 7 p.m. and Sunday nights at 5 at astronetradio.com, so don't miss it. Okay, welcome back to Coming in Hot. I'm your host, Audra, and I've been talking with Josh Passmore for the beginning of the show and everything. And we have been talking about his studio up in Dallas, Starman Studios, and all that's, we're going to talk later on about all that's upcoming with that. But he's been telling us about how he even got to opening the studio up and how he is just manifested his dreams. And a big part of this show for me that I want to convey to people is the mindset, what mindset it takes sometimes to get from point A to point B, the little things that you have to do maybe to push yourself to get there. So Josh, that's kind of what I was going to ask you about. I know that for me, in entrepreneurship specifically, there's a lot of it has to do with mindset. You know, when you start a business, you have to start to think a different way, and it doesn't necessarily come naturally. And I guess I'm wondering, how natural was the business side of that for you? And were there any particular things that you had to put in place, or things you had to give up or not do, maybe per se, to help propel yourself into the position that you wanted to be in?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I put my voiceover career back a little bit more than I've wanted to, um,
Mm-hmm.
for the business, because it takes. I mean, especially during like the first 2 years, have been more, constantly be there every day, do all this, and then, make it what it is. And then
Mm-hmm.
now I can take a little more time for what I need to do and do for me now. Since there's so many employees now, then, I just need to come in, and see what's going on, meet with clients and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
the mindset really is learning the aspects of business, because there's things that you don't know. I never ran a business before this,
Right.
uh, contracts are a big thing. Learning contractual law to some degree is a big deal. You know, having a lawyer in place, that's a big deal. We have a
It's
lawyer on.
having like the right team.
Yeah, you have to keep a lawyer on staff. Knowing the right people for the right job.
Mm-hmm.
We have a CFO, that works on stuff now that we didn't have before. That was a good thing to have, because we needed somebody that could be like, okay, this expenditure can be for this. You can do this. This is how much money of a budget you have to buy like furniture and equipment, this and that. We didn't have that before, and back when I was doing it all, because I used to do payments and everything else like that too.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting, but it's definitely better to a degree now, because that's less stress on me, and the team can work as a team now.
Yeah.
It's definitely, everybody has their job now.
So it being like lightning in a bottle, then I'm sure a lot of the relationships that you had made in the past, and as you were building your career in anime, um, I would think that maybe a lot of those came into play and were beneficial and helpful. I mean, because like you said, you needed to put a team in place to help you navigate through all of the different aspects of owning a business, and then it's an entertainment. So that's a whole nother monster.
Yeah, you definitely have to meet people and make those connections too. Luckily, I was really good at making connections in the voiceover community, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever it came down to actually going to there, meeting people that actually had projects that could pay out, it was like, oh, hey, we opened up a studio, maybe check it out. This is a little bit of the projects we've done. We made like a sample video we send out to people. Here's the specs of all our equipment. Here's some of the staff we have. You know, it's been
Mm-hmm.
really cool. Like, really cool. Two directors that work for us are from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah.
Hercule and Majin Buu. They direct for us.
Mm-hmm.
They have directed several shows, especially Chris Rager, who is Hercule, or Mr. Satan, as he's known on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
He has directed 3 of our movies for us, and Majin Buu just started on this last movie with us as the head director.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. Things that you never would have thought in a million years that you'd have these actors work with you.
Oh, right.
Really
Imagine.
cool.
Well, now what advice could you maybe give to somebody who doesn't maybe know how to make that connection? And I'm sure it's all, mental, but like, do you have any advice that you could think of to maybe
I
that
mean,
person who is maybe a little too afraid to reach out to try to make those connections, of either advice or maybe ways that you maybe overcome that, if you ever were you ever so intimidated you were like, I don't know if I can do this,
every day.
every day.
Every day I'm intimidated. I hang out with these people that have done like all these really cool things, and I'm like this small fish in a pond. And I'm like, oh man, this guy was on Stranger Things, or this guy was on The Walking Dead, or this person over here was just in the It movie. Wow, this is really cool. Why am I hanging out with this person? I got to hang out with Rob Reiner 2 years ago that did The Princess Bride, and that was
Oh,
like really cool. I got to
yeah.
party with this guy. That was awesome. like people you never would have thought in a million years you get to hang out with, you know,
Yeah.
like Jared Paladecki and stuff like that. Hang out with him. In a
He's
world,
great.
where would you thought you got to hang out with the cast of Supernatural? Ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where I got to hang out with Jason Mewes. I guessed at the Louisiana Comic Con one year
Mhm.
with my buddy, and I got to meet Jason Mewes and Seth Gillum and Ashley or Karen Ashley from Power Rangers and Johnny Young Bosch, and
Wow.
yeah, all these really cool people. Kane Hodder, who was Jason from Friday the 13th. Those are real cool things. But you know what? The cool thing is that you treat them like people, and you're friendly and you're nice, and that's what they want.
Hmm.
They want somebody that's going to see them as a person, and because they are people, and they want you to be nice, and you know somebody they can work with that's not arrogant and stuff like that. And you know that's a big basis of who I'm not. I'm not arrogant. I'm from Longview, Texas. I'll always be from Longview, Texas. I'm not better than anybody, and I never will be.
Hmm.
You know, I keep that humble mindset. I always will.
So
You
now
know.
coming in, and like I said, we talked before. I know that there's still so many other things upcoming for you in your future and stuff like that. But now that we're talking about this, and you just said, I'm no more special than anybody else. Do you, have you hear a lot of people say that who have made it, who we would say made it, who have hit this pinnacle or something or another that we believe makes them super super special. And I've come to also feel the same way, that they're no more special than anybody else. It's more of the application and where you apply and put your attention to, and
Yeah.
things like that.
At the end of the day, I just want somebody to appreciate my work and treat me like a normal person. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not anybody that I was yesterday. I'm the
Mhm.
same Josh I was 10 years ago, the same
Mhm.
Josh I was 30 years ago.
Yeah. And I think that's, like you said, when it comes to making those connections, it's important to keep that in mind, that we're all human, we're all the same. They've went through probably some of the same things you've been through. You just don't know it because you haven't
Yeah,
spoken about it yet.
I mean, it is just being a normal person that got lucky to be able to make the right connections and to meet the right people at the right time
Hmm.
and to
So
work hard on my craft and everything else.
yeah, so just push through those fears. Then when you have
Oh, yeah.
those times when you're like, I just don't know if I can do this, push through it and see what happens.
You will have those fears. You will have those fears. If this voiceover is something that you want to do, or with any job, you're going to have those fears. You're going to feel that you're not good enough to do it. You're going to be like, I'll never make it. Um, you know, I just did this and somebody else got the lead role that I wanted. Um, should I even try to keep doing this? Yes. Yes, keep
Mhm.
trying to do this. It
Right.
isn't about that. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, I've only just now gotten to the point, after what, 4 years, 3 years, that I've gotten a big support character for a show, you know, and
Mhm.
that's like my first one.
Yeah.
I mean, where am I going to get to? I mean, what point do I become, just support characters and that's cool? Or do I become a lead character? I may never be a lead character, which is fine. But, it's the roll of the dice and working and improving on your craft and trying to become what you can, always improving, never give up. I don't think you ever stop learning.
Right. Exactly. And if you do, then you stop growing.
Yes.
And I heard something earlier. I don't know if it was a quote he was repeating, or if it was just something he said, but it was something like, you want to shoot for perfection, but when you hit good or great, accept that, like, that's good. That's making it right there. Is shooting for the perfection, but taking when you get the good stuff. Like you said, you may always want to get that one lead role, but that may not be the role for you for a specific reason.
Oh, yeah. And you'll go through that a million times before you ever get what you want
Mm-hmm.
or to where you need to be. This is
Exactly.
the difference between me and a lot of other people is, I meet a lot of people that they're like, oh, yeah, I want to be the lead in anime, or I want to be the lead character in a video game. I want to be like Matt Mercer or Troy Baker or Johnny Young Bosch, or, I want to be those guys. I want to be Josh. I want to be Josh, and I only want to give the best performance of my life. That is my ultimate goal with acting. I want to
Mm-hmm.
give the purest, best performance of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody to say, man, that acting that you did there, dude, like, it didn't seem like acting. Like, you were for real.
Like I
That
can
was like maybe the
feel that.
most sincerest thing I think I've ever seen in performance ever. That's what I want from acting.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I could imagine that would be from everything you've told me and everything I've learned about you, and that just makes perfect sense, I guess I should say. And I hate we're running out of time. I knew it was going to fly by like this. We talked about it before. So, and I usually like to ask a very, very serious question, but I was probed and prodded and pushed and told that I must please ask you, good sir, is my last question. What's it like being a weasel?
It's like Muskrat Love by yeah, no, I loved being a weasel. Uh I'd probably done the voice a little differently, going back on that, but hey, it was a learning process and it was my first character ever.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll never
man.
forget Tim Buck, and I actually put his picture in most of my prints in that little hidden aspect of it.
Oh, that's
So,
super cool.
well, yeah, you always love your first. So,
Go back to your roots, right?
yeah, I always put him in a lot of different stuff. So
I
he's
love
always
that.
hiding somewhere. So if you want to play Where's Waldo, I'll never tell you,
Oh,
but you got to play Where's Waldo if you look at my prints, not the single picture ones, but the multi-picture ones. You'll
okay.
find him somewhere.
It's on now. I'm going to remember this is on.
Yeah.
It's on. So, and before we go, I need you to please, please, please tell us where everybody can find you and any upcoming projects you have going on. We need to know all about all of it.
I can tell you what just currently released, but I can't tell you about what's coming up because we have huge NDAs in the entertainment industry. And if I break
Mhm.
any of those, I'm sure I'll be stoned and beaten in the square. Um,
Okay. Okay. We'll comply.
all right. So you can find us at starmanstudios.com. You can reach us at contact@starmanstudios.com. Our phone number and website are on Google, so you can just Google us. We just moved into our new facility in January, which is a 10,000 square foot studio with 12 recording studios, 4 mixing bays, classroom, and a room for each department that we have for time coding, writing, and everything else. And we also have photography now and a video department. So we shoot in 4K now for our
Oh,
video department. Yeah.
that's
And
fantastic.
yeah, we're literally trying to do everything in the entertainment industry. I don't want to be limited to just voiceover. I also want to do movies and stuff too. So
I love it. Reinventing
yeah.
yourself in all kinds of different ways.
Well, I want to kind of be like a one shop all for everything,
Hmm.
and be able to hire people that have been let go from the industry or anything else like that have real talent and everything else like that.
Hmm.
Because like a lot of the people that work for me and stuff like that are people that have lost their job in the entertainment industry.
Hmm.
You know, either to downsizing or other stuff like that. But yeah, you can reach us there. You can always reach me at josh@starmanstudios.com. And thinking real quick. Oh yeah, plugging.
Yeah.
Um, we just had our third children's show release on YouTube now through Moonbug Studios, made by Smash Bits Entertainment. It's called Little Ruby Roo, and Corinne Sudberg is the lead for Little Ruby Roo, and you can check that out on YouTube. Yeah,
That's fine.
really
That's
cool.
actually what I'm going to do after we get done recording. I'm going to snuggle up with Piper, and that's what we're going to watch. So I'm going to
Awesome,
send you a message later.
sweet. Let me know how you like it.
So, oh, I will totally. And you know what? I'm going to actually do a plug. A Dog's Courage. We talked about that last
Oh
time, and
yeah,
that's also available, right?
yeah. Check out A Dog's Courage. Wogo USA hired us to do that. They've hired us for that's our fourth movie with Wogo USA. And you can find that on Amazon. I want to say it's on iTunes too. You can also get it from their site too, from Wogo USA. And
Awesome.
yeah, it's a great movie, and you should definitely check it out and tell me how much you love the Chihuahua because I am the boy Chihuahua in that Jason. So you can tell me how good my Hispanic accent is in that. I won't be mad about it.
I will hit you up about that one too. I'm so thankful and grateful that you came on my little show to share your story and to encourage others to continue to go for their dreams no matter what. Um, because life is always going to throw you curveballs. There's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be what appear to be obstacles, and sometimes those are actually the catalyst to send you on the greatest mission of your life. So
Favorite.
I'm excited to see what more comes from your studios and what all you do from here on out. And I'm sure I'll have you back on in the future so that you can share some more wisdom.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Stay.
So thank you. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Stay safe and healthy, East Texas. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
Good night, everybody.